Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast for engaged in the Game Pass collection, bringing you 3 unique perspectives from varying skill range. I will be the speedrunner of this episode, Andrew. With me, the guy who always does a normal run, Keith.
Hello.
And the one who always ends up falling in the spikes, Liz.
Hey guys.
And this week, we of course did Ori
And the Will of the Wisps.
Wisps. I was going to call it the Blind Forest, because I was like, that's the first one. We did Ori and the Will of the Wisps by Moon Studio. So this game, if you obviously have been listening to us, we did the first game, so it is still essentially the same thing. It's a 2D platformer action game where you are essentially just running and dodging all sorts of hazardous traps, and as you progress, you're getting more abilities that just help you traverse a lot more smoothly. And in this one, it's a lot more focused on combat too, which was a really nice touch, but we'll be getting into that. But going around, since this was my pick, I mean, I feel like this was going to be all of our picks. But this is most definitely a game. This is a must game. I could not wait for this game, and I think it fully lived up to the hype. So, yeah, this is a definite game for me.
Same here. I've been waiting for this game since we played the first one, because that was when I played it the first time. And, yep, loved it. Must game.
It's a game for me.
Wow, you're clearly the enthusiastic one here, Liz.
Well, it's not a must game, but I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's just like an enchanting game, I think. It's beautiful and wonderful, and I liked it, but there are a lot of things that I kind of didn't, so we'll get into it.
So, starting off with the story, I wanted to ask you guys, granted this question is going to be kind of hard to ask you guys because we've all played it, but I want to ask, do you think you need to play the first Ori to play this one?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think it helps a lot because it makes it all that much more meaningful. But
Yes.
outside of that, you can absolutely play it alone.
I agree. Because I was trying to think, like, obviously the game starts with kind of where it left off in the last one. You know, you and your friends are kind of living in a nice, happy home. So, obviously, if you want to have a closer connection with these characters and kind of what's going on, I would say play the first. But this really much is its very own story.
And it also gives you the feels that you would get even if you didn't play the original.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I joked last game that I was a sociopath, but this game I was like, oh my gosh, save him!
I mean, I kind of wish we played Gardens Between. After playing such a relaxing game as Gardens Between, this one, it breaks your heart so badly. I'm generally not too much of an emotional person, but this game hasn't made me feel... The last time I felt this much is when I played the Telltale's Walking Dead Season 1. And for the most part, that game, it was just kind of like a couple of moments. This game, I felt like it was its entirety. It's just so heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, but in such a good way. This game, it doesn't have a lot of narrative. There's not a lot of talking. The only talking is just garbles.
Which the fact that you get so invested in the characters and there's like no talking between them says a lot about how they created this.
Yes.
One thing I did like about it, though, actually, is like proper nouns, I think is what it was. It tended to just say the actual thing. So there was a weird element where you could understand the dialogue, but all in all, yeah, it was just garbled nonsense in subtitles.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, when they were kind of just, like, talking, you could kind of hear some of, like, a little bit what they're trying to say, which I thought was a really cool touch. But as Liz is saying, like, even though there's not a lot of talking, I think just the music in this game conveys it so well that it just plays with the story in such a meaningful way.
When Ori yells out, it's like, oh my god. I feel like if you love animals, even though like they're obviously not dogs and cats and stuff, but I feel like
Well, there's
animal
monkeys.
lovers, yeah, will love this game. Like Ori, you just want to hug the entire time. You just want to be like, let me help you.
Yeah, they did. The character designs are fantastic in this game. They're just so adorable, and like it's so weird to how awful you kind of feel playing this game because it looks super bright, cute characters. You're like, oh, this must be a joyous game, and it's like, no, it's really sad.
Obviously, we don't want to give too much away with the story because I feel like it's nice to see it as it unfolds.
Yeah. I will say the Game Pass Twitter account, which I follow pretty regularly, obviously, I guess, they were hinting very long that this game was going to make you feel some things. So I knew going into it, and I don't think we're spoiling too much. But yeah, I agree.
Do you think the story was better than the first one?
Yes. Now, there's a couple issues I have a little bit with the story, or some things I wish were a little better. So this game adds a whole bunch of new NPCs in this world that you're interacting with. They give you side quests. Some of them are shopkeepers where you can buy either upgrades or maps. So there's a lot of these new characters, and a lot of them I really loved. But there wasn't much story with them. Like, I felt like they were kind of hinting and trying to build up to some, but they never really did. Like, they kept talking about how there was a companionship or like a partnership with the bird Talk and the worm guy who gave you the maps. They used to be partners at some point, but you never really kind of learned their history, or you never really help them make amends. So that was one thing I was kind of disappointed in. I was really hoping they would delve into these characters that they made that were really interesting.
But I also feel like he's in this new land and he's just focusing on finding his friend. So if you were in that situation, you wouldn't really be getting to know people. So for me, I kind of just took it as that.
Yeah, but I was hoping the side quest would help open some stories with that.
I see
what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting on like going these huge, like their stories be part of the main story. I just wanted to know a little bit more about them. And then the other thing that was kind of an issue, it's kind of a plot hole for me that I didn't quite get, and that is the decay in the game. So in the first Ori, the whole darkness that's going on is being brought on by the owl, like the main antagonist in the game. But in this one, the antagonist is more just another creature in the forest, and it's not actually bringing any sort of decay or destruction. It just doesn't want to be a part of what's going on. It doesn't want to help. So I didn't quite understand what this decay was and like why it was destroying some people and others it wasn't. Because not to get into too much spoilers, but to find out what happened to the history of the antagonist, it doesn't say what happened, but there was some sort of cataclysmic event, but they don't really explain what it was. So to me, it was just a little confusing. And I couldn't figure out what the decay was. I'm assuming it was the like goop that you saw, and if you touched, you instantly died. But it didn't explain how like people were getting petrified. I don't know. To me, I just didn't think they explained the decay that was destroying the forest in the game, which is kind of I wanted to know more about. But besides that, it was just a minor gripe. Overall, I think the story is so good.
This is where I do myself so much justice by paying just enough attention to the story because this game had me more than most games do, and I definitely followed along with everything, but I didn't pick it apart. So I kind of missed what you're talking about, I guess. I just assumed, honestly, the way the game finishes, again, without spoilers, I don't know if this is, but I just feel like it's a cyclical story, is what they're going with. And,
Yeah,
in a sense, the decay was just something that happens. So it didn't need an explanation, I don't think. But you
that's what
don't
I
really find it
assumed.
until you beat it. So that's where yeah, as I said, I'm really making an assumption, obviously, but that was the way I took it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I kind of assumed. But like, at least in some areas, you could see there was like a cataclysmic event, and like that's what I kind of want to know. Like, what happened that like these fields look the way they do? I don't know. For me, I just loved the environments of this game so much. I just wanted more. It's just this isn't really a complaint. It's just me being greedy. I wanted more of this game. I loved it so much.
I feel like
No,
a graphic novel would be really cool to have alongside this.
Yeah,
I would pick that up. That would actually be really interesting. But yeah, I agree. I took a little longer to beat the game than maybe I needed to, because I love just collecting side things, so I'll get sidetracked for way long on those things for one aspect. But at the same time, I did feel like this one was a little harder in certain aspects, not a lot, and not enough that it made me complain because it also was easier in other aspects. But all in all, yeah, I got to the end of it and I just want more.
yeah. I hope they come out with an expansion or two.
Yeah, and I would love an expansion because I think this world they have right now is awesome. And I love the characters they've built, and there's just so much space for opportunity. So yeah, I agree. Expansions would be good in the meantime because I don't think we're getting a new one for a while, if we are.
See, I kind of got burnt out because I put so many hours into this game, and every once in a while I'd get stuck and be like, "Where am I supposed to go?" And the fast travel was good, but I kept going over the areas so much because I was like, I can't find any place to go. And this happened in the first Ori. Like, okay, I suck at the Ori games, I get it, but for me, it's like someone like me needed more, because I understand why they have limited fast travel, because you're killing enemies, you're getting coins and all that. But I was killing so many enemies. I had so much money because I was just going back and forth trying to figure out where I'm going to go. But I did think that this game, playability wise, it was a lot easier than the first. Like, I went right into this game, and I'd say like the first like 10 hours, like I was like loving it. I do wish you got some of the abilities sooner, and I was kind of bummed that like I didn't get Stomp. And I put so many hours into the game, I'm like, is there no Stomp? It looked like there was, so I kept trying to find people to give me it.
Do you want to give her your hot tip, Keith?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused about the stomp aspect, but I can ask that after. So, funny thing is actually, Liz, is I figured out about halfway through that this fast travel is so much more improved from the first Ori. You can actually fast travel to any one of the, are they fountains? Or just fast travel
Yeah,
spots, whatever they are.
yeah, the
In
fountains.
Yeah, in the first game you had to be at one of those points to travel to another one, which I think is actually a little more balanced, to be honest. But this map is so big that once I figured out I could just fast travel to any one of those points, aside from I believe in combat or if you're near a collectible point, someone can fact check me on that. But
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me
I
mad.
played through the
yeah,
entire
Oh,
game not realizing that you could fast travel at any point that you've gone to before. Because there's like, in this game, there's kind of a hub world that you're trying to build up. It's a sanctuary that you're trying to build for the animals. And so obviously this is where all the shopkeepers are, where a lot of the side quests go. And it was a little bit of a hassle to get to sometimes. It's kind of in the center of the map. But yeah, once I already beat the game, Keith is just like, yeah, you could just fast travel to any point without being on a shrine. It's like, oh my god. It's like, if I knew that earlier, that would have made it so much easier. So there's a hot tip for you.
yeah.
yeah. Oh my
Question about
gosh.
the stomp though. Don't you
Yeah.
just like the hammer where you can smash the ground? Isn't that what's stomp, or is there a difference?
Yeah, no, that's so in the first one, I don't know if you remember, but you could actually do a ground pound in the first Ori, and that's how you broke some of the ground. So this game is more focused on combat, and there's 5 different attacks you start off with that you can get, and some of them actually have unique abilities to them. So yeah, the hammer is the way how you are able to destroy the ground, the breakable ground,
Oh, so
or
I
the
didn't get
light
that
spear. The
one.
light spear also works as well when you upgrade it.
I thought it was an ability that you got, like the double jump and things like
Yeah,
that.
I thought it was too, but I beat through the game and I was like, no, I never got the stomp.
You beat the game before you got that? That was one of the first weapons I got because I looked at the hammer and I thought, I bet you that might be a way to get through those things. So I just bought it.
So that was your starting weapon, Keith, was the hammer. Mine was the boomerang. I went for the boomerang because I was like, oh, okay, this sounds like something you could be kind of fast and agile with. Just throw it to somebody and it'll come back to you. Which I think the boomerang is fantastic against bosses because when you upgrade the boomerang, you can actually stop the boomerang in midair and it just spins. And it was really good against bosses because I would just throw it on a boss and have it stay on the boss and it just drain their health.
I never got the boomerang.
So what was your starting ability?
You told me to get the butterfly, and I regretted it.
Why?
And then I leveled that up, and then I went to the fire, and I thought that one was lame.
The fire I thought was lame too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That one I got very late in the game.
I wish I picked the spear. After I beat the game and I'm doing the collectibles, I grabbed the spear, and the spear is really good. It's expensive to use, but it's a lot of fun.
Did you guys think overall that this game was easier? Because I don't know if it was just because I hadn't played as many video games when I did Ori, the first one, but I felt like everything was just easier. The jumping and bouncing off of things, even using the enemies to throw myself, I just felt like it was just so much smoother. And I'm like, is that just because I've been playing more video games?
I think it's because you played the first Ori
Oh.
and you understood the mechanics. That's the only thing. I don't think you need to play the first Ori for the story, but I think you need to play the first Ori to learn how the game plays. Because some of the abilities you get, when you start the game, it does give you a handful of abilities that you had in the first ones, like your air dash, your ability to jump off of light and off of enemies. Like some of these basic abilities, those were in the first story. So like, I think that's why it just kind of felt easier because you already knew these abilities. You played in the first one.
Yeah, I just love too that they give you things that make it easier, but you don't need them. So, for instance, the triple jump, someone who isn't as good, like that was great for
Yeah,
me.
I love the triple jump.
Yeah, I would use that and the dash because you can do the triple jump and the dash, and it just makes it so much easier. Especially because I was just always falling into that decay thing that you're talking about. And then of course there's the things that you can equip, like the thorns, so you deal damage back to an enemy. You get more damage from melee attacks, like different things that you can equip. And I think when I stopped playing, I had like 4 or 5 slots that I could choose from different ones. So I thought that was great too.
Yeah, I think the final loadout is like 9 maybe
Oh
of
wow.
slots
Yeah,
you
I
can get.
believe so.
Yeah, you end up with a ton of them. And so yeah, that's the thing about Will of the Wisps that I loved so much. Not over Blind Forest, but I think it was just such a great improvement was that they added those features because it was just so customizable. Like
Yeah.
to your point, Liz, you could play it to your style. If you're really good with your timing and all of your jumps and all that, you don't really need triple jump other than maybe a few select spots.
The customization of this game I loved. It was really cool, like picking these perks. Like I always did the perk of you do 35% more damage, but you take 35% more damage.
I knew you would do the ballsy one.
Oh yeah. So I always love doing the ones. There was a couple that are like a trade off, and I enjoyed those because it kept me on my toes. Now this game is a bit more focused on combat, but I still kind of wish there was a little more combat. I actually felt like there was less enemy types in this game.
Yeah, they were pretty generic and not a lot of variety. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, you had just your handful of flyers and your handful of ground guys. You have your same slimes that were like crawling on the walls. But yeah, the enemy types I didn't think were too varied.
Yeah, and they kind of just reskinned a couple of them too,
And gave
where
them new
okay,
abilities.
There
Yeah.
was one that looked like a squirrel. The one that did the fire?
Yeah, that would like ground pound and then they do a wave of fire.
Yeah, and then the bomb ones. But yeah, they weren't very unique. I agree with that.
it's weird because where the game was easier was one of my least favorite things about the game, or maybe not least favorite. The things that really made me want to throw my controller across the room were the end of scene sequences, I guess, or however
Oh, the
they end
chase
an act.
scenes?
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
chase scenes.
gosh. The
Those
Loved them.
ones,
worst.
I loved
The
them.
worst.
they're my favorite, and I hate them because they can just be so infuriating. Andrew heard me last night trying to beat the last one. It was it was a rough experience, but at the same time, when you beat them, they're so gratifying. It
Oh
it just
yeah,
feels so good when you finish. You're like,
because you have to do a perfect run. There's no checkpoints.
yeah, they're precision based, and it really requires perfection. So when you get it done, it actually is just so gratifying that you completed it. But they were actually a lot easier in Will of the Wisps, I thought. So I don't know if I hate that, but I kind of don't know if I like it either.
Yeah, with the chase scenes, I got more patient. With the first one, I hated having to redo things over and over and over again. This time, I didn't mind, but I did mind the chase scenes because I don't like that one little hiccup and you have to start all over. And with the first one, I was so close to the end and I died and I was like, Andrew, just take the controller. And then he did it.
Was that the watermill?
Yes, I was towards the end and I died and I have no patience. It's the same with what are those scenes where
Quick time events.
yes, it's the same thing. They drive me nuts. And when I got to my second long run chase scene, I was just like I'm done. Like I don't want to do this. And for me that was the big downfall for the game. That was my number one dislike and it's just personal preference, but I was kind of done with the game after that.
See, I loved the chase scenes. For me, I wish there was more of them. They actually did add a bit more. So you have the mandatory ones that you get normally around the bosses, but there was also some speed trials in the game as well, where you would have to find the starting point and the finish line, and then you would race a ghost. And they were essentially kind of the same thing, where you would basically have to do a sequence and do it flawlessly, and then you get rewarded. But I loved the chase scenes with the bosses because they're just so well designed of like the cinematography of it, just like how things are just breaking and how the course is changing in front of you as you're running through it. They're just so nicely done.
It looks
and they make
cool.
and they make you feel so good when you beat it. When you go through that whole sequence flawlessly and you get to the end, it's like, it makes you feel so good.
Because it ends up being like 2 minutes, I think, in some cases with those, or at least maybe the last one.
Yeah, they're generally not long. The
No,
second to last one was the longest.
but here's the thing. 2 minutes is a lot longer than you realize
Yeah.
when you're just anxious because you've on your 10th try of it and you've gotten to the last part of it. You know everything you need to do. You just, your thumb falls off the stick and, well, there goes that run. So, yeah, they're great as much as I hate them. Like that's the type of thing in a game that I won't let the difficulty impact how I like it. Some things I will, not in that one.
What did you guys think of the boss fights? So the boss fights are new in this game. Did you guys actually think they were a good addition to the game?
Well, I played on easy, and I think I did the first one without dying. I think I beat him like the first go. So I don't know about you guys. Did you guys play on easy?
I played on normal. I kind of wish I did hard. I'll probably actually play it again on hard because I want to keep playing this game.
I did normal as well. All in all, I really liked the bosses, but yeah, I will say I struggled with the Luma Pools boss because, which I don't know if it's the first boss. It was the first one I did. That's
Well,
all
it
I know.
depends what you get. You pick which way you want to go. So he ended up being my first too.
Well, either way, it was a struggle city for me. I quit and came back maybe twice, actually. I went and like got stronger and all kinds of different stuff. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. This game has like a weird snowball effect where it seems a little bit slow at first, but all of a sudden as you get skills, you just roll along and it feels nice.
Yeah, so you should get skills or health. I feel like your
Mm.
health grows in this game really quickly.
Yeah, I feel like they give you a lot more life cells in this one.
Yeah, and well, they also give you the ability now where you can actually regenerate your health, which was really helpful, especially during the boss fights.
Yeah.
One of the nice new features they have in this game is just by pressing left trigger, you can quickly switch your abilities. Since you have numerous abilities and attacks in this game, it's just this really simple feature of just left trigger, quickly change some of your abilities and play with them for a bit and quickly change them again. So yeah, during a boss fight, I would always have like my boomerang out, my arrow would take some pot shots, and if I got low, quickly select the healing, heal up, and go back to like my combat. So I love the kind of the quick pace of being able to switch your abilities.
Well, yeah, because I found too is the way this game does everything, the boss fights change as you go through them,
Yeah.
and halfway through the fight, it changes, and so you just need a whole entirely different skill set. Like maybe you can't heal anymore because there's no flat spots to actually stand on. So it was a really cool feature for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially because, I mean, I died quite a bit. Having that heal that you can just run back to, it kind of feels like a cheat, but not really.
I sometimes felt like it was too.
Yeah.
When I was like getting low from a boss and it's like, oh no, I'm full health.
I thought it was clever that I was like, oh, I'm going to switch this temporarily. And then it was like, yeah, I've been doing that too. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, you're thinking more strategic, like.
But
That's
that's
good.
why with the map, I was trying to find the energy cells. Because I thought like having energy was the best. I mean, obviously the health was super beneficial. But with the energy, you can help your health and you can, do a lot of your attacks.
But the next thing I really want to talk about is the environments of this game. So as Keith was saying, this game kind of gives you like a lot more choices with your customization stuff. As you're playing through this game, you're like, oh, cool, I think I know what I'm doing. And then it's like, yeah, now go collect the 4 wisps. Like, to me, that actually felt like when the game was starting. And that was like 2 hours in the game.
I was waiting for an opening cutscene and I was gonna quit the game because if it had done that to me like 3 hours in, I would have been so
That
mad.
was way more than 3 hours for me.
Yeah. And so, but I like that it did that because, like, so then it was like, you need to collect these wisps. And there's no set order you have to do. So, like, it would show you the locations of them. There's one in the Luna pools, one, like, underground, one in the desert. So you had your choice of where you could go. So me and Keith ended up going to the Luna pools first. I think, Liz, where did you go?
To the east.
Are you saying Luma or Luna?
I thought it was Luna pools, wasn't it?
Luma.
Luma.
Oh. Whatever. It's close enough. But yeah, I like that they kind of gave you this free choice of what you wanted to do. And I thought all the environments were very unique with each other, and they all kind of had their own strategies to it. So the Luma pools, of course, is a bunch of water. So you end up getting a water ability there, which is a lot of fun. To the east is a desert, so you kind of get the sand ability. In the south, you go to the burrows, which I thought the burrows was both infuriating, but I thought probably the most gorgeous environment. The burrows was just obviously caves, but it's run over by spiders, and it's just filled with a bunch of insect carcasses. And in the background, you see them twitching, and the spikes were actually just the dried up carapaces of dead insects. And I thought the design of it was really cool. But it was also frustrating because it was also really dark, and if you stayed in the darkness too long, you died. So, obviously, if you played the first Ori, they do just use a lot of mechanics from the first one, which isn't a bad thing, but it wasn't too unique on some of the stuff.
But they still had the aspect of, a lot of times I didn't know if I was meant to do something. So, for instance, I went to the Luma pools before I was supposed to.
Yeah, I did too at first.
Crap. So, for me, there were certain things that I was like, do I need an ability for this, or am I just being an idiot? And that happened to me a lot.
I think there was enough crossover from the first game that I felt like I could get a good feel for it pretty quickly if I was or wasn't supposed to be able to go somewhere. But yeah, it was a weird feeling in this game where you could half get a lot of places, and yeah, I just like it was confusing.
I'm glad that it was similar to the first, though.
Well, it should be for the most part. Not a lot of games I don't think are gonna switch over, but yeah, I think the balance of it was a little weird though because I think the fire orb you got really late in this game where thought I got it really early in Blind Forest. Am I wrong?
I think you get it like midway. Well, once again, you could have gone to the mountaintop area and got the fire orb early. That could have been your first area.
That's a good point.
Because yeah, you just needed the feather to access that area. So like that's what's kind of nice about the customization of this game, and you could actually have more free will with your choices, which I liked.
Well, that was discombobulating when you're with the bird, like before you got the feather again. Going from the abilities that you have and then having to switch over and not being able to do melee and
the
stuff.
little segment where you're riding Ku.
Yeah.
It was a little. It threw me off a bit too because I didn't know how to attack, and then I figured out, Ori can shoot arrows down the back while Ku can flap.
So what I found was weird about that is it gives you that dynamic early in the game, or it gives you that mechanic really early in the game, aside from maybe the arrows, I guess. So I thought the gameplay was going to be a lot more of you and Ku interacting, whereas it wasn't. So then when I guess I got it back, I thought that I was going to do it a lot more, and again, was not. So
I'm glad there wasn't too much of it because I missed my triple jump. Like I didn't want to float around. I wanted my jumps.
it would have been, and actually maybe it's a good opportunity for an expansion where they do more of that somehow, but they actually focus on giving Ku a bunch of abilities or Ori abilities while you're riding Ku, something along those lines that it at least is more than just that one thing, because otherwise it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not boring, but not the best part of the game.
It's short.
Mhm.
That's the most you could just say too, is that it's a short segment. But it didn't bother me. It threw me off at first, but where the story brings you to that part, it's worth it. Did you guys notice much of a difference in the graphics
Yes.
from this game?
So much.
I haven't played the first Ori since we did it for the podcast, and I kind of want to go back, but I immediately saw different. I was like, this looks spectacular. Like, it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah. The artistry in this game is just so top notch.
There was one part, though, where he's talking to the giant toad, and the toad looks kind of blurry, and I was like, is he supposed to be, like, kind of background? That was my only complaint with the graphics. But other than that, I mean, like, I feel like I can't say anything negative.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty substantial jump. The first Ori came out about 5 years ago. I mean, we played it, like a year ago now? And even then, the one version we played was the definitive edition, so it had a bit of more polish on it. But yeah, this game, of course, is fully done in 4K and HDR, and both me and Liz, and Keith actually played it on, and it is stunning. And, like, there's just a lot of just little details to the graphics that, like, when you look at, it's really impressive. Like, anytime you splash in the water, you can actually see it ripple through the background, like, into the environment. And with the different diverse biomes in this game, the graphics are just, it is just such a beautiful game to look at.
It so much is. And what it did in the first one, it does so much better in this one in the way that it takes a 2D environment and gives it a 3D feel
Yeah.
is incredible. I love everything about the way they do that, even to the point where I can't remember which one of the chase scenes it starts out, but there's a rumbling, it's like a giant spine of I don't know, some dead animal, and it just looked like it was about to fall towards me. And it was such a cool look to it that I ended up dying the first time because I just sat and looked at it and I was waiting for something to happen. Nothing happened. Just looked cool. But yeah, I love the way that they designed this game, and even though the first one was beautiful, this one's
It
this one's
blows
just
out of
top
the
notch.
water. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just doubles like it in like its prettiness. And of course, the thing that was also amazing in their first story is also just so much better in this one, and that is the music.
It was alright. I'm just kidding. I'm just like, come on.
There's no way you can
I
not say.
tweeted about it. It was magical. It was
I
awesome.
highly recommend you play this game with headphones.
Yeah.
The orchestral music in this game is so good. This is a soundtrack you could easily just listen to in your car.
And everything complements it too. Like the sound of Ori and stuff. I just feel like everything just melds together
Yeah.
beautifully.
There wasn't like an obnoxious sound going on in the game that would like take you out of the music or
Oh,
anything
there
like
was
that.
one voice I hated. I don't remember who it was. I think it was like
The shard guy, the guy who had crystals on him.
Oh, it might have been. He was just very ugh. But I feel like I can't even really complain about it because everything else about the noise and music was just spot on. So
Yeah, the music was done actually by the same person who did the music in Ori and the Blind Forest. So it even feels continuous with the first game, which is another thing I like about it. But yeah, it really is beautiful. I actually the
listen
day
to
the
it in your
game
car.
came actually the day it came out, it was a Wednesday and I was at work. So I put it on my Spotify
I
because it
knew
was
it. You did it
available.
from the first. I knew you listened to it outside of the game.
I was just sitting there listening to it at work and it was amazing actually.
You
It
just
was just
started
nice and
weeping at your
peaceful.
computer.
No, but I actually got really sad that I couldn't be at home playing it instead and getting the full experience of it, like playing the game along with the music. But yeah, it's just actually nice, easy listening music. I'm not saying it's, Summer Jam 2020, but it's definitely some great background music to your everyday life.
Pop this in on a road trip, head into the beach.
Yeah, no, everyone's gonna fall asleep and or cry.
For the next segment I want to talk about is, of course, Liz's favorite segment, and that is the glitches.
Glitches.
Oh, yes. It is so buggy. And it always happens when you're in the middle of a fight. It like freezes. It is bad right now. I know they'll fix it.
In a month, it'll probably all be fixed.
But yeah, this last week has just been so infuriating.
So, I didn't think the glitches were as bad as Liz was kind of experiencing. Granted, I saw some of the glitches Liz was getting, and it is pretty frustrating. I mean, I was experiencing them. I think the fact that I was playing on a 1X, I think it handled the game a little bit better, because Liz is playing on a 1S, and it looked like it might have been struggling a little bit from it. But yeah, there was a handful of glitches. I did hear that the PC version is a bit more stable, and they're coming out with more patches for the Xbox version. So if you're listening to this episode in like a month from now, it's probably all fixed and not a big deal.
I'm not going to hold a grudge, even though it is freezing a lot.
Yeah, it didn't take me out of the experience too badly. It was a bit annoying, but luckily none of it was like crashing for me.
It didn't crash on me. I did a lot of button smashing. Oh no, it did crash once. It did. But I think that was my fault because I was getting really irritated because it kept happening and I was just smashing that back button and it crashed on me.
The most annoying glitch I got was when I would load the game up, it would show like the title screen, but it wouldn't say the title screen, and it also wouldn't let me press start or A to start the game. It would just show the picture. And I'd have to completely close the game out and have it reload it.
There was one time where you were watching me play and you're like, I feel like you should have gotten that. It was like a jump or something. So there were some times where I'm like, yeah, I definitely did make that. But other times I was like, I jumped on that wall. Like, what the frick? But, that's probably me just being me.
I mean, to a certain degree, I actually don't think I ran into a lot of issues. I had a couple loading issues, but the only one time I've really had a big one was there's a point where you get these little travel portals as a puzzle, and it put me just inside of a wall. So that was kind of cool. But I was able to jump against a bunch of spikes and die, and it was fine. One other time I got really bad, like choppiness though. That was and actually at different times. I'm hoping they'll patch this too. I don't know how much I'll play this game unless I decide to go back and give myself a real challenge and play it on hard, but it has a real big issue where you can outrun the map, I think
Yeah,
as you put it.
I did that too. Yeah, I'll get to the screen and the
That
rest
needs
of
to
the
be
map didn't load.
fixed because that does kind of take you out of the game. You're cruising along and you just feel like you're 7 years old skipping down the street on a summer day. Everything feels great, and then the game just stops, and it's about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then you go again. It's just it kind of takes you out of it. So I would love to see them fix that for sure.
Yeah, I agree, but I will say too, I much rather have that than loading screens. And this game has almost
Yes.
no loading screens, and I love, love, love that
That's
it does
true.
that.
I have a question though. Did you guys ever get stuck in the spikes? Because there was a time that an enemy kicked me into the spikes and I couldn't get out, and I was just watching my health go down and I died. Like I got stuck
Yes
on it.
and no. There was
I
one
can't really
time
think
I
of a moment.
legitimately did get stuck actually, but also you don't really get a good jump off the spikes, so you kind of get stuck immediately. That's the point of them, I think.
Yeah,
No, that's the only time it ever happened to me. I mean, I got thrown into spikes all the time, but I mean, like legitimately stuck. Like I couldn't get out of it.
I can't. I mean, it might have happened, but I can't really think of a moment.
Same with like I also feel like with collectibles, once you get them, once you die, I feel like it should automatically save the collectible you got. Because there are certain save points, but for me it sucked when I got something that was super hard to get and then I died immediately after and I had to do it again.
A good chunk of the time it does, but I did notice there was sometimes it didn't for me as well.
I
Specifically
didn't
with the
like that.
spirit orbs.
That is one thing I will agree that was really weird because sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't, and I could never really figure out. So yeah, I had to redo a lot of things a lot of times.
So even though at the moment this game is a little bit glitchy, for me it didn't take me out of the experience at all.
And I think it's kind of easy fixes.
Yeah, it's definitely something that'll just get patched. Like nothing was game breaking. It would take me a little bit out of the environment, but I don't know. It didn't bother me too badly. I just because I was enjoying my time so much with this game. So also too, if you played the first Ori, you'll kind of expect the same for the achievements. The achievements in this game are very similar to what they were in the first one. You have your handful of skill-based achievements, which I didn't even realize I got them. They're that easy. So you don't really have to worry about that. And then there's, of course, the handful of just progressing through the story. But then, since there's obviously a ton of collectibles in this game, there's achievements for collecting everything, collecting all the hearts, all the health, all the energy, doing all the side quests.
I wanted to check. There was one that I definitely got, but it didn't
Yes.
show up.
Some of the achievements are glitched.
Yeah, and I was really frustrated because I actually worked for that one because I was looking at the ones like that you guys got that I didn't, and I was like, I've definitely done that. So I went back, did it again, and I still didn't get it. And I was
Yep. Like I got the achievement to beat the final boss, but I didn't get the achievement where I beat the game. And I beat it twice to see if it would like go through again, and it never did. And I got the achievement of collecting all the collectibles, but I didn't get the achievement for collecting all the energy. And it's like, well, how could I get all the collectibles if I didn't get all the energy? So yeah, some of the achievements don't fully work. So that is another glitch too, which is hopefully will get fixed soon.
I'm still like a couple of them I'm not entirely sure about. The energy cell one, I'm pretty sure I'm on board with you on that. I don't see any energy cells on my map and I don't have it. But again, are you talking about the one that says complete the game
Yeah.
or because I think completing the game and beating the game are different. When for the one I believe that's on hard or under 4 hours, it says beat the game. So I'm pretty positive there's a difference between beating and completing the game.
No,
See what I'm
the
saying?
achievement. I'm is listed as beat the game.
Okay, so then that's fine. That's all my question was.
Yeah,
There is
it
one
says
that says
complete the
complete the
game.
game.
Yeah,
Com Complete the game is different than beat the game. That's my point.
Yeah, but
but it doesn't
complete
say
hard mode.
100% complete the game.
Just saying it's different. Completing the game, I'm betting you have to do all the side quests, all the unlocks, everything. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if it had you do it in the under 4 hours. Did you look it up on the online actually?
But it said 1.74% of gamers unlocked complete the game. Isn't that a lot?
Yeah, not really. At this point, it's a new game. Generally, games like this don't get a lot of downloads, I don't think. Not compared to, say, like Call of Duty Warzone.
But how do you complete the whole entire game under 4 hours?
You might be right about having to do 100% the game because 1.74 has maxed out energy achievement and then 1.74 is complete the game. So you might have
hmm
to 100% the game to get that achievement.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the type of achievement. It's a completionist thing.
But if
It's
that's
about
the
doing.
case, they should list it as complete the game 100%.
I get that. I'm not disagreeing with you on
So
that.
fix it, Keith.
But I guess get them to change the way the achievements are worded. I don't know. I I'm just, that was the way I took it, and that's why I didn't think they were necessarily broken.
Avoid touching any corrupted water? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, a lot of them are very difficult. That's something about this game that, if we're talking about achievements, I'm taking your segment here, Andrew. This is not a game for achievement hunters, but it is if you're the type of person who wants the achievements for the challenge purpose.
Yes.
If it's something that you want to say, hey, I did this, it's great for that because a lot of these things are really hard to do, but yeah, they're very hard to do, and you don't get a lot of gamer score in this game. Not for your time, at least.
Yeah, so when I first beat the game, I beat the game in under 10 hours, and I didn't do all the collectibles at the time, and I ended at like 200 gamer score. But by the end of the game, with all the abilities you get, you pretty much fly. So it's really easy to just go back and get all the collectibles and get all these achievements. So now after I've gotten everything, my gamer score is well over 500. So I wouldn't recommend it for achievement hunters. So after collecting everything, I think my total playtime is maybe 11 hours. So this game isn't terribly long. I do just wish there was more of it. So getting into our final thoughts, since this was my pick, I cannot recommend this game enough. The only thing will say is I guess I can't fully recommend this game for everyone. As you can maybe hear from Liz, like this game is pretty difficult. And even playing on an easier setting, all it does is make combat easier and makes taking damage from environments less. But it's not like it adds more platforms or reduces the amount of spikes. So the traversal in this game is still the same difficulty. So I guess I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who finds this game too difficult. But I highly recommend you still try to put the time and the effort because the story is so good. Just everything in this game is an experience. And I loved every minute of it, even with the glitches. So for me, I'm going to give it a 96.
So I'll take up next because I know Liz, you always just want to go last.
I do the Metacritic.
That's a good point. It's a good segue. It's a great transition. I'm not arguing that. So I really can't reiterate much more what Andrew was saying because I just loved this game top to bottom. I'm only speaking from my own heart. I just think it's an amazing game. And it's weird though, because I don't know that I can go. Well, no, I can go with a 96. That's just a weird score. I'm giving it a 95.
See, I would give it higher, but I would only give it higher if I could recommend it for everyone. And I couldn't recommend it for everyone.
Well, I thought this was like your personal score, what you felt about it.
I don't think it's like a perfect game, but I don't know if there is a perfect game. That's why I don't. I'm never gonna give 100. That's what I'm saying. Put it right here. I'm never giving it 100. But this game is dang near perfect. Otherwise,
You say that now until we play the next pixelated game. Then you're like, 100.
Oh my gosh. Well, with the original Ori, Andrew, you gave that one a 93 because you really loved that game, and Keith, you gave it a 90. I gave the original an 80. I was a little underwhelmed. This one, I'm gonna give a 90. I kind of think it deserves more, but this is just for my personal experience with the game. There's a lot of things that I would change about it, tweak, but overall, I thought it was wonderful. It's an amazing game, but I also just kind of got burnt out from it. I didn't want to play anymore, and so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 90. But looking at Metacritic, I'm closer. Okay, so Xbox 90 and a 9.
Like it's a badge of honor.
Yeah, it's like Price is Right, you know. PC 90 and 9.1, and I mean everyone's just raving about this game. Everyone just has good things to say about it, and I feel like the only complaint that I really read was that it was buggy, and that's something they can fix.
You sound like you were upset that people were raving about it. Are you going to be that one troll from like last week that's like going to give it a low score because this game shouldn't be perfect?
I just feel like all the compliments are the ones that we already gave the game. Like the graphics are amazing. This is amazing.
Oh, I'm fairly certain this episode was just Ori and the Blind Forest 2.0.
Yeah.
I realized that about halfway through that we're basically just saying Ori and the Blind Forest is an amazing game. They improved it and gave it a different story.
I mean, don't fix what isn't broken.
See, this isn't my style of game that I prefer, so the fact that I'm giving it 90, I feel like that speaks volumes.
Yeah. If you do find this game difficult, I still highly recommend you like just watch a stream of it or something like that.
Although that's hard because unless you know like a specific point, it's hard to find people. Oh, if like I'm thinking if like you're stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find where people are at because I did try to look at a walkthrough more than once. It only helped me one time.
If you don't find a YouTube video that has hyperlinks to where in the video you need to be, then you're not watching the right streams, Liz.
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at random YouTubers.
That's just a YouTube tip for you.
I
That's
was
all.
just going for the ones that had the least amount of commercials because a lot of YouTube video game clips have like 50 commercials. Like I want you to get paid, but I can't watch more commercial than gameplay. So for
And
me,
that's why you gotta find the ones with the good skips,
yeah.
so you can minimize the ads.
Okay, I'm learning.
We'll talk about this offline. We'll get you there. YouTube is very easy to use. Welcome to 2020.
It's funny because I am on YouTube all the time. Like Andrew makes fun of me. So the fact that I don't understand video game YouTube.
Well, we're gonna learn you a whole new world of video game YouTube here.
A whole new world.
Well, everyone just stopped listening. Good night, everybody.
I know. I'm lost where we are. But yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast.
I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all so much for listening and joining us. I should have a video up for this game as well. So if you want to check out a YouTube video of this game, you can see some of my streams that I did with it. You can find us on YouTube at Game Pass Grab Bag. We are also on Facebook at Game Pass Grab Bag. We are also on Twitter at GPGBpod. Or if you want to write us an email, we're at GamePassGrabBag@gmail.com. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can follow me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952, or I have a mixer with the same name.
Oh, and I'm Keith. And if you're still listening, maybe like at Wendy's and us, and I don't know, maybe they'll roast us. Wendy's is awesome.
I follow Wendy's on Twitter.
And stay safe, everybody, because if you're listening to this now, coronavirus sucks. And if you're listening to it in a while, it probably still sucks. But also stay safe.
And I'm Liz the Noob, gamertag ComeOnMD, and I'm on Liz. And I'm
on Liz.
And I'm on Liz.
And I'm on Twitter at Liz the Noob, Noob is EW. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who liked and voted on my polls. And I'm definitely going to do a poll next time as well. So, and thanks, Keith, for not voting. That poor guy didn't get his game because of you.
What, like I had the winning vote?
You may have. I kind of forget the votes, but I know they didn't win, and you said you were going to vote for them. But that will be on the poll next time. So if you voted for A Plague's Tale, I think that's what it's called, it's going to be on the poll again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. So thank you all. We'll see you again next week. Stay safe out there.
Bye, guys.
Bye.